ground floor.
But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ground Floor podcast. I'm Steyn. I'm here today with Reynardt Hugo.
Lekker tye.
Welcome to the show. So I've just arrived here at Reynardt's loft, and it's very nice. We've got this cool upstairs space that I'm being told is going to be renovated for music purposes, and I've now received this little Panax ginseng extractum drink that Reynardt swears by, and he's now told me that this is not sponsored, by the way.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not.
But now I'm supposed to drink this, so I'm going to give this a try.
Let's have a sip.
Okay, so let's
have a sip.
All right.
And
it tastes like medicine.
it's pungent, eh?
Yeah, but it's good though. It's sweet.
There's normally when I eat balsamic vinegar, it smells like dirty feet. You know what I mean? Like after a week being in the bush. But you see, you drank it up very quickly. I sip it slowly.
You sip it. This tastes like what's that? Benylin for flu. It tastes like imagine you took Benylin for flu. And then you fermented it and you made it into an alcoholic beverage because it's got that smokiness that like whiskey has.
It's great.
So, ladies and gents, if you really like Benylin for flu, and you've always thought to yourself, I just wanna drink Benylin for flu, you know?
Yeah.
Here you go.
Panax.
There we go. Ginseng extractum.
It's the craziest drink to start off a podcast with. Normally,
I wonder how many people on this planet. I don't think anyone has started a podcast with ginseng extract.
There's not one.
I don't know. Yeah. There've been a lot of podcasts.
There's been a lot of podcasts, but I don't think they would have started off with this. I mean, I bought this. You know, the person who introduced me to this is Toby Corneer, the actor.
Yeah.
And he worked with us a couple of years ago, and I love Toby. He's such a gentle soul. You know, and us growing up, watching old Toby, doing his thing, and he introduced me to the Panax ginseng, and he said to me, "No, listen, it gives you energy, and it kind of gives you clarity." And I was just like, when I started drinking this, I've got this in my dressing room as well. Especially here at 3:00, 3:30 in the afternoon, when you've had a long day and you still have 3 or 4 scenes to go, then I would drink this bad boy, and it actually does work in a way. I don't know if maybe
it's a what do you call it? A placebo.
Maybe.
I've got this mate. Yes, I'm so glad I can tell the story right off the bat because I was hoping to tell it at some point. So I've got these mates and they listen to every episode, so I know they're going to hear this. Okay, so Freek and Tony, these two guys, I used to work with them in first year. We started a business together. And then at some point, like towards the end of the year, they left the business, and I still stayed friends with Freek for a long time. And now recently, I've had this amazing opportunity. They messaged me. Tony messaged me one day. He said, "Listen, he wants to start a business selling aquarium stuff, like aquarium plants and shrimp and stuff, which is something I'm very into." So I said to them, rock and roll, let's do this. So I've now had this chance to really reconnect with these two guys. So they've been working in a pharmacy in Pretoria, just as like a student gig, just trying to make some extra pocket money or whatever. And they tell when I saw them recently to discuss this aquarium business, we started chatting, and I asked them, like, "Do you guys get hectic customers?"
Yeah.
And they said to me, "Listen, you got to hear this, okay?" So they had a woman who comes into the store, and she says to them, "Listen, she has not taken a shit for over a week."
I didn't expect that.
She has not had a bowel movement in like 10 days or something, and it's bad.
Yeah.
Okay, it's hectic. So they have to help her.
Yeah.
But she's got like no money. She's got nothing. So Freek is now handling this woman.
Freek, I love Freek is helping this woman.
Yeah, he's like trying to figure this out.
It's like a story.
So he says to her, "Okay, listen, they've got a couple different options. They've got some pills that are like laxatives and stuff, but she can't afford that. She's only got a couple rand with her. So why doesn't she take these little sachets? These little sachets that you drink them quickly. I don't know if you mix them with water or whatever, but you take the sachet, and then in a couple hours, you'll experience your relief. So they sell these packets to her. I think she takes 2 of them or whatever right there in the store. She takes these sachets. She leaves. Freek says, I shit you not, like 3 minutes later, this woman comes back in. She says, it didn't work. And they're like, what do you mean it didn't work? You took it 3 minutes ago. She says, no, she took sachet, went straight to the bathroom, didn't work. Okay? And they're like, this thing takes hours to work. Like, you're not gonna, it's not instant. Imagine you just instant. Like you couldn't control yourself.
Drink public toilet.
Exactly. You got to go sit down before you drink this. But no, so she comes back in. She says, listen, this thing doesn't work. She's very angry because she just spent money on these sachets that doesn't work. They say, no, they do work, but they'll take a couple hours. She says, no, she needs now. She needs to go right now. She needs to get this, this laxative effect immediately.
Yes.
It just got me thinking, like, all the different ridiculous, like, customers that you get.
I mean, it makes me think of that, what is it, Jackass film where the guy took a dump in a hardware store. So I remember it was Steve O. So he also didn't go to the toilet for like 5 to 6 days, 7 days, I don't know. And he was standing in the car and he's like, guys, I'm gonna let go. And then he went into the hardware store where they sell the toilets and all the other stuff. And then he took a newspaper, they filmed it, and he sat right there and he took a dump, and the people were just like looking at him like that. And then they went to the toilet, and it was Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
Sizable, yes. Steve O has become, he's had such a second wave now of popularity, because back in the day he was very popular doing his films, but he's older now. He's like in his
50s. He should be in his 50s.
He's older, but now he started this YouTube channel where he talks about things that he used to do back in the day. He tells stories about all the drugs he was on. He tells stories about like the craziest things, how badly hurt he got in some cases. And he's now received a second wind of popularity because now people are hearing these stories like as an account. He told a story recently about how his voice, I mean, he has such an iconic, his voice is like, he sounds he sounds like he's been through hell. And he used to say that he thinks his voice is so screwed up from years of drugs, because he used to take this drug called nitrous oxide, which is like, it comes in a little like pressurized canister, and you just breathe it in and then you get high. Okay. So he used to take this drug a lot. Like, he says he thinks he's done more nitrous oxide than any other human in history. Then on top of that, he became very well known for like throwing up all the time on TV. You know, like this was his thing. So he says he thought he destroyed his voice box in his 20s and 30s by doing all these things. So he goes to the doctor, and this doctor, like specialist, looks at his voice and all that. And his doctor eventually just says to him, you know what, actually, it's got nothing to do with any of that. It's because you just talk weird. Why do you put so much strain on your throat when you talk? And Steve-O is like, very confused, because he thought all these other things had screwed his voice up. Actually, he's just been talking like the wrong way. He just doesn't use enough of his throat when he speaks.
Sure.
Yeah.
And also maybe the fact that he threw up a lot, that chemicals acid. Or acid. Talking about that, I also went to Tikkies, and my lecturer passed away last week. The lady that gave us voice lessons, and it's the truth, because if you, especially at where we work, and if you sing, I mean, for the last 9 years. You go to small little towns and you've got to perform, and you do 3 shows, maybe 4 shows on a weekend. So I remember the only way my voice survived was by warming up, sitting in the hotel room, and maybe om die kussing so in jou gesig te druk, and then you do your scales, or you take a hot bath or a hot shower. You stay in the shower for a couple of minutes or whatever, and and obviously you get different, it maybe sometimes it's cold or maybe sometimes it's hot, depending on where you are in the country. And I've always been, because I know there's a lot of artists today that struggles with their voice, that had like 2 to 3 operations because they've been singing a lot.
Yeah.
And to me, I can't lose that, because that's the only thing that you basically
that's
have.
Your whole tool.
That's your whole tool.
In acting, well, you can write more books, I reckon.
I can write more books. I can write more books, yeah.
Yeah, because with your acting, you can't act with no voice.
No, you can't.
But I suppose Mr. Bean did that for a very long time.
Mr. Bean did that, yeah. It's so funny. I've got students online, and we're actually doing, this month, we're doing a course doing miming. And one of the stuff that it's not that I hated it, but it wasn't that fun, was movement classes when I studied at Tukkies. And it was such for me, it felt like a waste of time, because I just wanted to act, and I just wanted to get experience. So, but yeah, you have to look after yourself. I mean, especially getting older. I spoke to one of the actors last week, one of the older actors, and he said to me, I asked him, listen, when are you going to go on retirement? When will you stop acting? He said, the day I forget my lines.
Was it Ben Trier?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
I saw him once. It was so cool. It was long before I was doing this podcast. And I mean, I don't do it anymore because I don't have DSTV anymore. I've got to watch Netflix now. But I used to watch Finlandish. That was a thing for me.
Religiously.
Like, almost religiously.
Thank heavens for subtitles.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
you pick it up?
Yeah.
You pick it up.
I'm good. So, I one day I'm walking out of campus on text. Walking out of off of campus at the front entrance, because I used to park my car there, which in hindsight was a terrible, terrible idea. You got to pay that extra 15 or 20 rand to get your car.
Where did you park? Where did you park? Which side did you park?
I used to park out front where the Greek church is, but I've now changed.
At Loftus side?
No. That's the back.
Okay,
or at least the way I see
close
it.
Close to church.
Yes.
That back, parking lot there. At Marina.
Yes.
Yes, yeah.
I used to park there. It was not a good idea. Okay. Because I've heard of so many people whose cars get stolen. And stuff.
Yeah.
So nowadays, or at least before the pandemic hit, I used to park at engineering, which is it's pricey. I mean, it's like $100 a week to park there if you're on campus all day. But at least then you know your car is safe.
Yo, that's crazy. I remember also with Tukkies, it was I always said to them, listen, I have to go and pick up costumes at the Masker Theatre. That was close by Narina.
Yeah.
And they would let me in, but they later they got clever and they recognized you and the tricks didn't work. Yeah.
Yes,
But I never paid for parking though when I was studying.
No. So they've got a parking at engineering building, which is like I think it's pretty new. I don't know how new though. I've only been studying there for a couple of years. So I don't know if it's like just before I got there or if it was, there while you were there.
Yeah.
But it's like at a mall. It's like a big underground parking. You get a ticket when you walk in the morning and then you pay it on your way out.
Sure.
Yeah. Times change, huh?
Sure. It's crazy. Yes, Tukkies was, sometimes I miss Tukkies a lot. Actually, and talking about Ben also studied there, but he was the one that told me.
Yeah.
And also the character that plays Wimpy, Paul Lukov.
Yes.
He also said the day he forgets his lines, that you'll stop. And it's quite scary though, because you don't want to. You want to be set up to be able to survive after you in this industry as well. So you've got to be clued up, but. Sometimes I miss Tukkies a lot. I miss the people. I really do. You sometimes think, I wish I could go back.
Yeah, I'm not even done studying, and I regularly sit and think, I wish I could go back.
Yeah, and it's so great the lecture halls and I really do miss it. Sometimes, and also sitting on campus. I used to smoke back then, and it was so lucky just to sit with drama students and have a smoke, and you would club a pakkie a day. You would club almost pakkie and a half.
Yes,
yeah,
that's hectic.
Yes, I used to smoke a lot, because
I wonder what your voice coach would have said about
and it was weird. Your voice survives. I don't know. I don't know.
You were young. I mean, when you're young, you can survive anything.
Yeah, exactly. You can.
Made of rubber, basically.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can drink brandy with car oil, and you'll still survive.
I remember we went on the boat. We went on for my matric cruise. We went on this
boat to Portuguese Islands.
Yeah. We went on that boat. It was such a joy, man. It was so lucky.
Yeah.
So I don't drink much. Okay.
Yeah.
I almost never drink. I can count on two hands the amount of times I've been drunk in my life.
Wow.
But my mate Ruben, he's a drinker. He parties.
Yeah.
I speak to him sometimes. I say, man, you got a drinking problem, man. You drink
really?
too much. And then he always says to me, he says, I don't go out to drink.
Yeah.
I go out to have fun. And then I end up drinking. So that night we were on this boat, the two of us together, just having a good time. And I mean, on that boat, they were like, you order a shot of vodka, and they give you, I'm really not kidding, probably about 80 mils of vodka for a shot, which is like, that's more than 4 shots. It's like 5 shots.
That's heavy.
That's what they give you. But it's a clever marketing trick, or not marketing. It's a clever sales tactic, because you can't pay for your drinks with cash on the boat.
No, you've got to log your card.
Before you go on the boat, you buy tickets. So when you get on the boat, you get a little booklet that has like tickets. So I bought I think like 15 drinks for the whole weekend.
Okay.
Ruben got considerably more.
Yeah.
But so what they do is at night, so they get you absolutely just shattered beyond your wildest dreams.
Yeah.
And so that you just keep buying drinks, and you're giving drinks, and you're buying drinks for other people. When morning comes, we're all sitting around the breakfast table, desperately hungover.
Yeah.
And everyone's blown all their drink vouchers on the first night. First night out, we've blown everything. So then they come around. They start. Like those timeshare salesmen. They come around. Hey, guys, does anyone need more drink vouchers? Are you guys out? Yes, we blew everything last night. Okay, here you go. They do cost triple the price now. But, you can buy them from us. So people end up like blowing all of their cheap tickets on the first night. Now they have to buy for 3 times the price the second morning and have to stock up for the rest of the trip. So it is genius with regards to money making. Then they catch you in another way. Okay. So let's say you've got some extra tickets. Okay. So you got some extra tickets. You want to go redeem them for cash. That sounds reasonable, right? So what they say is, okay, cool. You can do that. However, there's a catch. You can come through to reception and redeem your drink vouchers any time before 6 a.m. on the last day. So now, obviously, okay, you got a boat full of 18, 19-year-olds, 17, 18, 19, who on the last night are definitely going to get absolutely smashed. Okay, that's what they like to do. So they're going to drink as much as they possibly can. Now you want them to wake up at 5 a.m.
I'm picturing that. That's why I'm laughing. That's
wake
so
up
funny.
at 5 a.m. and go cash in to get like the 60 Rand or whatever. They're going to go stand. And I was one of those, hey? I went and stood in that line, 5 a.m. that last day. That line was probably like 300 meters long to go cash in your last couple.
And they were in line.
I mean, so I can't imagine how many people got up firstly, how many people just overslept because they were hungover, or they didn't want to go in the first place. So the boat keeps all that money. MSC, they keep it all. Plus, people who got up, go there, see that there's one cashier handling about 8,000 people, go up there, think, I'm not going to stand in this line, and just think, what's $100, whatever. So now, at the end of the day, the boat has given you so much less drink than people paid for in the first place.
Listen,
so hold on. I'm
okay.
not even at the cool part.
It gets better.
I just went on a tangent. So we go on the boat. And when we were on the boat, they always bring like a musical guest along, right? So it was Brendan Piper.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So I have never in my life, Brendan Piper I feel like he's after my time. Like I already stopped listening to Afrikaans music by the time he came onto the scene. So I don't really know. I know it's one song that's very popular, but I don't know. Everyone knows that song.
Yes.
So I don't know him that well. But anyway, get onto the boat. We see him perform. But when you see someone perform in a at a concert, you're standing over here in a crowd, they're all the way over there, they're performing. Even if you stand in the front, it's like it's a concert. They are on this level and you're over here.
Yes.
So the one night we get absolutely drunk on these stupid vodka shots, and they have these two drinks. The one's called African Lullaby or African Sunset or something.
Yeah.
The other one's called a Faithful Bitch.
Yeah.
So what we found out was that if you buy both of them and you either mix them or you just drink them at the same time, it tastes amazing. So we were buying like 2 drinks at a time, hand in hand, we got smashed. So I wake up the next morning and there's no signal on the boat. So you don't check your phone that often because there's not much for you on your phone anyway. So the next morning I wake up and I open my phone and it goes straight to my camera. And I think, did I use my camera last night? Okay, whatever. Go to my photos. I'll put this photo up. For the people watching on YouTube, I'll put it up right now.
Please put it up.
A photo of me and Brendan Piper.
No way, JC.
I cannot remember taking that photo. I can't remember meeting him. So what I imagined was...
That sounds about right.
What I imagined was me and Ruben walking up the stairs here, completely sloshed.
Yeah.
We see him, we go, Brendan Piper! Take a photo with us. And here we go, take a photo. Yes, you must see how red my face is in this photo.
That's scary when you open up your phone and you see a hell of a lot of photos that you took the previous night. Also, we went on to those MSC Symphonias. And we started Adam way back, right? And we performed with Kurt. So it was us and Kurt that went on the boat. But both times it was a nightmare because I was still drinking back then. And
that boat encourages you to drink.
And the guy that was with me in the band, I said to him, listen, let's split the bill. So I can't remember tickets, but I remember you give them your card details, kind of thing.
Oh, is it?
Something
Maybe
like
that's
that.
for the adults. I think for the young people that don't trust you, it's pay up front.
Yes, okay. So I gave them the credit card details and my bill was 7,500 rand just between him and me.
Holy shit! Man.
So it was Brutal Fruits and it was brandy and coke and it was all stuff like that. So I've got not so lacking memories on the MSC Symphonia.
Is it? Yes.
It's crazy. It's a crazy boat. It's a crazy vibe.
Yeah.
Because when you climb on, you just feel party vibes.
But
I mean you're not going to go on and read Barack Obama's autobiography.
Everybody's in a great mood on that boat.
They are fantastic.
It's everyone is so keen to you celebrate.
But how's it possible for not falling over?
So I heard rumors that people fell off, but I know the procedure. Like if someone falls off the boat, stops, it turns around and goes and gets them, and there's like a mini rescue mission, the boat never stopped. So I don't know if that was really true. But I think that maybe, you get extremely drunk, and when you get that drunk, you lose a lot of your inhibitions. But I think that danger part of your brain
that's
still
what I wanted to say. Yeah. So there's something.
I say that, but I went to Stellenbosch a couple months ago. With Ruben again. You see, he's just
Ruben sounds like a legend.
Yes, all of my stories that are alcohol based are always involving Ruben. But yes, we went to Stellenbosch, and this was now after I said to my friends, I know this sounds so cringe, but I said to them all, I don't vibe with alcohol.
Yes.
That was my line that I gave for the week because I just I don't like getting drunk that much. So I said to them, guys, I'm not going to drink this week, but I will come with you everywhere. I'll enjoy everything with you, whatever. So we go out to this one club, which was open, which was fantastic. And this girl we were with, I don't want to say her name because I'm pretty sure her parents still don't know about this, but she got very, very drunk. Ruben got quite drunk. Yeah. And I was obviously like dead sober, but having a great time.
Yes.
So we finished up the night at this place called Mystics. And we decided to now walk back to where we were going to be sleeping that night. And I almost said her name now. This girl walks. And,
you can bleep it out.
Yeah, I'll bleep it. I'll add like a duck noise. But she walks along with us, and she's having a great time. She's like swimming in her head and blah, blah, blah. And she trips. And she falls mouth first onto the corner of a curb. Like, that cement corner. She falls mouth first, just
That's the worst.
Splits her lip like it's terrible. She's got like blood in her mouth. It's like going down her chin. So we are immediately, I'm in like, survival mode right now. Let's try to just figure out how, because this girl is in pain. But she's very drunk, so she's not in as much pain as she'd be otherwise. So we're like, okay, listen, we got to get home as fast as we can, and we got to clean this up. But we're like 900 meters from the place, and we're walking. So we start walking. Eventually, this campus security rolls up. So they roll down their windows. I think it looked a bit sketchy because it was now me, like a tall guy, Ruben, who's also a tall guy, and this very small girl, and we're like carrying her home. I think it looked a bit sketchy.
Sure.
So they pulled up alongside us, and she's a student there at Stellenbosch. They pull up alongside us. They say, hey, guys, is everything okay? Immediately, Ruben says, no. Everything is not okay. This girl has just fallen and hurt herself very badly. Can you please give us a ride back to the apartment? They look at us for a second. You can see they're not listening. They look at us. They're like, actually, we can only help students. We can only help registered students. So you guys students? So this girl says, yes, I am a registered student. I study here. I live here. Please, will you take me back to my apartment? They literally, the two guys, they look at each other. They just go, sorry, we can't. And we're like standing there flabbergasted. Campus security is not helping us at all.
Wow.
They roll up their window and drive away.
Wow.
Just like that. I mean, now we're stuck. For all they know, just by the way, we could have just beaten this poor girl senseless.
Exactly.
She's got blood pouring down her face. Someone could have socked her in the nose.
Yeah.
I mean, one of us could have done it. And they sort of just look and they go, sorry, really, but can't help you.
Listen, but Stellenbosch is a crazy place.
Yes, it is.
It's and I'm not meaning it in a bad way. I mean, I also had a couple of parties there, and it's amazing how different Tux is from Stellenbosch and Stellenbosch from UCT. But Stellenbosch is wild. It's a wild. And Mystics. One of my friends got. I'm also not going to name his name. He went into Mystic Boer, and he got lekker geklap, and he went to two girls, and they were lesbian, they were a couple, and he literally ordered a beer draft, and he started hitting on them, and he obviously didn't
realize,
came right. And he took the beer and he dumped the beer on their heads. But those girls, the one girl, from gebliksem.
Is it?
Uit Mystic Boer. And he had to come back to work. So I'm not gonna. He's also an actor, but yeah, that's what happened in Mystic. So Stellenbosch is a crazy vibe. For me, there's nothing worse to look at than a drunk girl.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's and especially, I mean, I don't want to wat is Afrikaans vir algemeen nie, but generalize, yeah, but it's really just, I mean, for me that was also drinking. I mean, I can say the same thing, a girl can say the same thing. There's nothing like a celebrity that's drunk or that hits on you, But for me, it's just, performing at a lot of vrouwenoggende, Finesse or Roy Rose or Sari, morning teas, stuff like that, and you're the artist. I mean, they get quite smashed, and it's interesting to look at that because they leave the husbands at home and they get a bit loskop.
Yeah.
I don't think to the extent that they will do anything, but I mean, it's just, I think the word is it's just embarrassing a little bit, and but I suppose you have to go through what you have to go through. I mean, you're at varsity and you're gonna party. I mean, you said it yourself, you're not really a drinker. So, I mean, it's great. There's a lot of people that does do that, and then there's other people that don't.
Yeah, they're just not into it.
I mean, I stopped drinking like in 2016, and I'm not friends with one person that I drank with. Not one. No.
Shit.
No. So all those evenings, it wasn't verniet nie, but it was. I mean, I could have bought Bitcoin back then,
Did you hear about that guy who paid back in like 2010, he paid 10,000 Bitcoins for 2 pizzas. He was one of the first people who like kind of started hearing about Bitcoin, and this was when Bitcoin was like acceptable at some places as currency.
Wow. Back then,
he had like 10,000 Bitcoins that he thought were completely useless. He was like, I'm not going to do anything with these. So he ordered 2 pizzas, and he paid using an online portal using his Bitcoins. And I think it was something like 9,800 Bitcoins that he paid for these pizzas. And, he just emptied his account because he thought it was useless. Dude. So now, 1 Bitcoin is worth like
700 and something. I looked this morning. It's like 725,000 Rand.
Yeah, exactly.
For 1 Bitcoin.
So this guy had 10,000 of them or almost 10,000 that he spent on some pizza.
Dude, I would feel so cocked.
There's this other girl who cashed in big time. Or, I'm assuming for her this was a really big thing. She's a YouTuber, and this was back in the day before, if I'm not mistaken, before you could donate to YouTubers. Because now if a YouTuber streams online, you can donate money to them. But I think this was before that was a feature. So this girl used to make gaming videos where she would just stream games for a couple of hours and you could go watch. And this guy, he saw her streaming and he said to her, listen, I've been watching you for like months. And you've been giving me all this entertainment and it's been completely free. You haven't earned a single cent of this. Can I send you like a Bitcoin? And she was like, what is a Bitcoin? And this was when a Bitcoin was worth like $40 or something.
Yes.
He's like, let me just send you a Bitcoin. It's this cryptocurrency. Like it's really easy to set up an account. Set up an account. Give me your code. I'll send you a Bitcoin. And who knows, maybe something comes of it. And she says, she thought it was a bit weird, but she was like, maybe I can, it's $40, like I can use that. So he sent her this Bitcoin, but she forgot about it, like completely forgot about it. So now, like less than a year ago, all this buzz about Bitcoin broke this, and it was like certain amount, I think it's like $45,000.
Yes, it broke.
And people were like, it broke. Bitcoin broke $45,000 for the first time and all that. And she was like, hold on, I think I might have an account with Bitcoin. So she went, logged in on her old account, found out she had 1 Bitcoin that's now worth like almost $1 million that she just had sitting around.
And imagine finding out that.
That's like, you know how good you feel when you put on a pair of jeans and you find 100 Rand in your pocket?
Oh, that's exactly. It's the same. Exactly.
Imagine how good it would feel if you log onto this bank account that you forgot about from a decade ago and found out that the money you had put in there had appreciated to what is almost $1 million. I mean, you might as well go win Survivor for that money.
I mean, yes, Bitcoin, it's such a, I think for 2021, I said this year, I'm doing the acting thing, and you do sing and you record singles, because I think it's a singles market obviously now. I think it's going to be useless if you record an album.
I actually agree with you.
Because all the music has just closed down, and I think somebody told me we're like 5 to 10 years behind the international circuit. And I mean, I think I left at the right time in 2019, and it's a singles market. So basically what you want to do is, and obviously there's maybe people that will agree with me or not, but basically what you want to do is you just want to write a good single.
Yeah.
And then you just want people to maybe party to that song, or it just needs to hit.
Yeah.
And that's
you need someone like me who'll drive an hour to Pretoria and listen to the same songs.
Yes, exactly.
I've probably single-handedly, there's a band called the Struts.
Yeah.
Hands down my favorite band.
The Struts.
The Struts, yeah.
Can I look it up?
Yeah, you can. They're from the UK. And this guy, one of the big things about this guy that caught my attention is he sounds like Freddie Mercury.
No.
Which was very cool to me too when I heard his music for the first time. And I listened to, there's 3 songs that I love. There's one called, the newest one.
He's almost got the same look as Freddie.
Yeah. So their newest album is called Strange Days.
Okay, you want to check out.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
So they have a song on there called I Hate How Much I Want You, which I really, really am jamming right now. And then there's another one, which was the first song I heard from them, called Your Body Talks. And then there's the third one, which is definitely my favorite, is called Could Have Been Me. These 3 songs, I swear I'll just jam them on a loop for 6 hours straight.
Yeah.
I have probably single-handedly contributed 40% of the Struts' revenue over the past
And for one
year.
stream, it's 12 cents. So it must have been a lot of streams.
I've been streaming that song forever.
But you know, it's great because for me, and getting back to the first, or when we started speaking about ENCA and the interview, it's also like you try different sounds. I mean, for me, if you look at my playlist or if you look at stuff that I've downloaded before, it's really a diverse. It's different sounds. It's different artists. It's amazing, and I discovered this band in lockdown called what are they called? They've got this song Sunrise or Sunset or something like that. Can you believe it? I can't even remember. Oh yeah, The Midnight, and it's 80s synth pop, and it's fantastic. It makes me feel, I mean, the same as you. I mean, you feel in love. You feel you can drive from here to Cape Town with only those 3 songs from the Struts. And, you know, different genres for me is fantastic because in a singles market like today, you can try anything and you can see what works. And if that worked, then you can remove some of your other stuff, or you don't have to. But
you know which direction to go.
You know which direction to go. So
it's like business. There's this book that I was working for a startup of like 2 years ago, and the CEO of the startup, he was very adamant that I read this book because a lot of what he said he was basing his business practices on was this book. It was called The Lean Startup.
Oh wow!
So basically, the Lean Startup, the idea behind it is, you should not, what a lot of entrepreneurs do, especially in the online space, is they will spend months, sometimes years, developing a business or a product, and then eventually they put that product out there and no one wants it. Okay? And the problem is that they've encountered a fundamental issue right at the start, and they didn't realize that they were moving away from what would actually make money. So the idea behind the book is basically that you should make your first rand as soon as humanly possible. Like even if, so let's say you're an artist, right? You're a singer. Make that first song. Don't go record. I know this guy who's trying to become a rap artist, and he's constantly talking about, he's got like 500 songs that are unreleased right now. I'm thinking, just release them. How much time are you spending on creating new content, not even knowing if people are going to like it, not even knowing if you're going in the right direction?
And it's so easy to upload a song.
Release that first song today. Okay?
Yes.
Record one song, release that song.
Yes.
See what happens.
Yes.
Maybe no one listens to it. Maybe it's really popular. Maybe you get some fantastic feedback. You know? What if someone says to you, listen, man, I really like that song. I like your feel. But I got to tell you, I find that maybe your ratio of volume between your instrument and your voice is like a little bit off.
But listen, that's a principle though, because you have to have people in your life though that needs to tell you, listen, Reynardt, that's going to work or not.
Yeah.
Or I think that's the problem. You have to have people like that, and you have to be able to be at a place where you don't have to take offense to that.
Yes.
Because a lot of people take offense. So for me, if I ask my fiance or ask my 2 or 3 close friends and I ask them, listen, do you think this will work? And I've done it before. I came up with ideas because I thought, listen, this is groundbreaking. I think this is going to work. I think people are going to like this. I run it by them. They tell me, yes, dude, ek weet nie of dit lekker gaan werk ja.
I see.
And it's really like that. So you have to, it's also the accountability factor.
Yes.
So that is so important, and especially going forward, you need people to tell you if it's going to work or not, because then you're going to waste your time. You don't want to waste time. Why do you want to waste time? You have to go through certain mistakes and certain stuff, but go through them as quick as possible.
Yes. So that's exactly what it's about. It's like, imagine recording a whole album, or like in the case of this other guy, 500 songs. If he really does have that many. Imagine recording all that and spending so much of your time recording something, and you don't know if you are moving in the right direction. Like, record song, release song, hear what people have to say. If they hate it, if they hate it, then, tough shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Find out why they hate it. Let's make sure that they hate it a little bit less next time.
What's the other thing is that people say, but listen, the artist is taking you on a journey from track 1 up until track 12.
No one listens to track 1 through track 12
No, they don't.
anymore.
They don't. So what you can do is, what is the alternative? Okay, cool. So what you can do is you can say, listen, here's my number, here's the single. So you tell a story out of that single. I mean, I can tell you a lot of stories just after my first singles. A lot of stories about my second single, and now the third single that comes out with the book. I can tell you a lot of stories, but you need to be clever about it. You don't have to bring out 12 tracks, pay 120,000 Rand just for 10 tracks, and then you've got to get a publicist on board, you've got to get a manager on board, everyone takes their cut. You don't have to do that. That's why you can sit and be clever about it. Tell the story. I mean, you know what? It's funny. Last year, and I was so stupid, but I learned. I mean, I paid a guy 20 grand to shoot a music video because I was used to record labels all these years, and since going solo, I was a bit stressed. And listen, where do I go and upload a song, or where do I even start with this and that and publicity or whatever? And I paid this guy 20 grand, and the music video came out good, and I was impressed with him because he's actually a wedding videographer. And there's a difference because you have to use somebody that's doing this for a job, in the industry, I think. But he did a great job for then, and and in lockdown I was sitting here and I was singing, and I said literally in winter, I said, as dit julle, ek voel net hier is op my hart vanaand, ek love die tune, ek love die flippin' wysie. I'm just going to sing this song to you guys, and just pop me an Instagram message or whatever, a DM, and tell me what you think. Dude, it was literally 4 minutes. It wasn't professional. I threw it out. That thing got 55,000 views. My song only got like 13 to 14,000 views. Okay.
That you did through the.
It reached 120,000 people, and I was like, the only thing is like, you've got to hit the heart.
Yes.
That's what you need to do. You've got to hit the heart, because if you don't hit that, then why are you doing it? You understand what I'm saying?
I find that like one of the artists that for me is really, really fantastic at telling stories and conveying like emotions through his songs is Ed Sheeran.
Yeah,
because Ed Sheeran's now like
totally
blown up. He's one of the biggest stars on the whole planet, and he's earned it. I mean, he's fantastic.
For sure, and he had everything against him.
Exactly. Like if you go, there was this other artist who was talking about Ed Sheeran. Also, I think he's like Scottish or Irish as well. And he was talking about how him and Ed Sheeran used to sometimes go, they must call it busking, where you go out on the street and you just sing in hopes that people give you some money. They used to do it together, or, close enough to one another that they knew each other and so on. Now Ed Sheeran has just exploded. And he's probably in the top 10 biggest music stars on the planet right now.
Yes, for sure.
And he doesn't make... I mean, maybe in some cases he does, but for the vast majority of his songs are almost like folk songs. They're almost like songs. His song is a story.
Yes.
He's telling a story. It's not a song about, this girl's so fine, blah, blah, blah. It's like a song about, this is where I was, this is what I was doing, this is how I felt, and this is what that meant to me. Yes. And he's singing this song telling you about himself, but he's just so good at making it into a song. His songs have just blown up beyond what you could ever comprehend.
He sang a song about his grandmother, Supermarket Flowers.
Yes, that song hits.
How's that, eh?
It's one of the most emotional, because when you hear that song and he's talking about losing a family member, like even if you've never lost a family member before, he talks you through the emotions. And the way that he sings the song is he's telling you about the little things that everyone goes through that you wouldn't think of. Like, for example, where he talks about all the little things that his siblings contributed to his mom who was in the hospital. And he talks about they have to throw away the get well soon cards and stuff like that. And you don't think about those moments. But can you imagine how devastating it is to throw away a get well soon card that your brother wrote for your mom, knowing that she's now passed away?
Yeah.
So, like, that's intense emotional
intense
stuff. But this song was playing on the radio. Like, people love that. It feels so real. And I mean, even sitting there, like, you can literally be sitting, taking your kids to school, and the song like brings a tear to your eye and makes you want to call your mom. You know? It's such an emotional journey. Because it's a story about something that's extremely personal to him. Compare that to other songs where you're like, yeah, this is a really lack of vibe, but the song's not really saying much. You know, I think personally that someone like Ed Sheeran, who tells stories through his songs, is so much better suited for the way that music is consumed today. You know, the singles market, like you were saying. I feel like a song like that really makes people feel something and that they can really connect to an emotion as opposed to just a song that you hear in a club. I feel like that song is much more likely to be wildly successful.
So where do you find then, I mean, for me, I'd rather sit in a small restaurant and listen to, or wherever, a small little place and listen to Ed Sheeran, as opposed to being in a club and just, vibing and just, clapping. And there's a space for that. But I'm the kind of viewer, I'm the kind of theater goer that likes to sit and watch everything, even almost smell the artist, or like look into his eyes, or check his strumming, or what guitar does he have, why does he dress like that. I'm that kind of theater goer. It's exactly like when I sit and watch a movie. I don't like there shouldn't be any distractions. Even cricket, when I watch cricket or a T20, I don't like if there's distraction, because I want to see every single ball. I want to see the drama. I want to see the soap opera behind the game of cricket. That's what I like. And to me, with Ed Sheeran like that, I would go and watch something like that. I mean, yes, he performed here at the stadium, the big arena. Is it? Yeah, and
he says something that I appreciated so much is he starts a show, so he comes out and he sings his first song, and everyone's just going absolutely crazy. This guy, this kid from Ireland, is now selling out an arena.
Yeah, dude.
But across the world. You know? So anyway, he comes on and he starts talking to the audience, and there's a certain level of, you can only be so intimate when you're talking to
50, 60,000 people.
60,000 people. But he talks to them, and now you can't really, it's not the same as a small stage where you can sort of tell stories between songs. But he comes out and he starts, and the first thing he says was, everything you hear tonight is completely me. I've got no backtracks. This is my guitar, this is my loop machine, and this is my microphone. That is it.
Oh, dude.
And he demonstrates, I mean, he didn't go through a whole how-to tutorial, but he shows how the loop machine works. He puts his foot down, he sings something, he takes his foot away, and it repeats. And now he's got this beat going, and he keeps going. And right there in front of you, he creates music, And it was so special, because I feel like I've gone to other shows where, I mean, it's not always entirely apparent that the artist is lip syncing or whatever, but he went so far out of his way to ensure you as the viewer, this is real, this is authentic, and what you experience here tonight, even if I do the same show tomorrow, you will no one will ever feel what you feel tonight again.
That's artistry.
Because I'm creating this now, and once I finish my song, it's gone. You have heard a version of this song that only you and the other people in this audience will ever hear.
Sure.
It's really special.
It's the same, like, or not the same, but sometimes when you hear the name and surname Justin Bieber, people immediately go, ek weet of ek van hom hou of wat ook al nie. And I watched the docu on YouTube of that guy, and it's the same, I suppose, sometimes with us, and on a very, very small scale, is that, people don't really know what you go through to put out a product there, or to get into an emotion, to show that to people. Especially with a soap opera. You try and, you get the lines, you've got to make them work, and the small little town, the Tannie in the small little town has to feel what you are feeling and what you gave her. So someone like a Ed Sheeran, and someone like a Justin Bieber, for me, I mean, those two oaks, they are clapping it.
Yeah.
They are clapping it. I mean,
you forget. I mean, it's so easy to forget when you look at someone who's just achieved this wild success, to feel that they are so different from you.
Yeah.
And people lose like empathy with people who are wildly successful. I was talking just before I came here, I was sending a voice note to Ruben as well. Talking to him, because he said to me, he was talking about how someone mentioned to him something to do with, it was to do with like rich people and how the elites are trying to, do this, and they're trying to like, they how the American dream is not real because no one will ever be allowed to reach a level if it wasn't a plan, and all this sort of like conspiracy theory stuff. And he was talking to me about this person that he knows that was telling him this and how he thought it was so funny. And I said to him, I follow this girl on Instagram. I used to know her because we used to work on the campus newspaper together. So we saw each other once, twice, but with lockdown, I haven't seen her or spoken to her since. And she's become extremely left-wing since I knew her in person. She posts a lot of stuff that's like, a lot of socialist stuff, a lot of communist stuff, and she's sort of moved in that direction. And recently she reposted this whole thread about eat the rich, and it was this whole thread about how we cannot even quantify how much money Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos have, and showing like they show like a grain of sand, this is how much that is, and this big pile of sand is how much, and it's all that. And basically, the message that was on every single slide was eat the rich, okay? Which obviously comes from this, I think it originated in the French Revolution, where people were so frustrated with the class divides, and that's where the slogan comes from. So I thought to myself, the first thing that came into mind when seeing this was a couple of photos. So there's a photo of Elon Musk in his book, or in the book that was written about him by Ashley Vance. There's a photo of him sitting in his dorm room with his roommate, very small. It's a dorm room. So sitting in this dorm room in Canada. He had some family in Canada. He went to go study there. So he's sitting in this dorm room. He's like 22, 23 years old, maybe a little bit younger. He's already like balding a little bit, just genetics. And he's sitting there, and he's got like this cheap pair of glasses on, a little bit skew. And he is in that photo where many of the people who say eat the rich are today. They're living in a very small confined space. They've got very limited access to financial freedom, and they, poor, lower class or whatever. Now you look at Jeff Bezos. There's a photo of Jeff Bezos sitting in like a tiny, tiny little garage with his desk pressed up against the wall. The walls are like cracked. There's paint falling off. And on the wall, he's taken a piece of material like cloth, and in paint on that he's written Amazon.com and just nailed it up against the wall. This was when Amazon had 0 customers. So now we look at someone like Jeff Bezos, who's been the richest man in the world for like 3 or 4 years, and then Elon Musk overtook him for like 10 minutes and then went back to second place. And it's so easy to think these are the elites, the 0.1%. They don't care about us. Eat the rich. They've got nothing in common with me. Remembering, or not remembering, that just 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, these guys were exactly where you are today.
Exactly. Yeah.
And they just happen to, think about Amazon, right? So all the controversy about what Amazon pays its workers aside, the reason why Amazon does so incredibly well is because it's an incredible business. Like, it provides a really fantastic service that people everywhere in the world love. So there's no doubt that Jeff Bezos is amongst the greatest businessmen to have ever lived. Like, he used his intelligence and he created a business. Remember, Amazon used to be for books only.
Yes.
And he then spotted this. He spotted this market where he said, hey, if I can sell books online, I can sell anything online. Why don't I connect some businesses to this platform? People can buy from the platform in that way. And it's perfect. It's this brilliantly perfect business. that just works, and it works well, and it's well managed. People get their stuff.
Yeah.
And now you think, this guy, I mean, it could have been anyone who came up with that idea. But now we sit here and we think, yeah, I hate Jeff Bezos. I hate rich people. I hate that top 1%, forgetting that they didn't just get there. Some of them obviously are not self-made. Some of them inherited large amounts of money.
Yeah.
But people like Jeff Bezos, people like Elon Musk, these are self-made billionaires. They got where they are through grueling hard work and very difficult times.
My thing is just, why would somebody focus on that? Why would you make time to focus on stuff like that? Why don't you sit at home and try and figure out where is it that you want to go?
Exactly.
It's like conspiracy theories as well. I mean, I've also looked at conspiracy theories. It's interesting. I was talking to somebody yesterday and they said, yeah, man, don't read stuff like that, And it's like, but I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just, for every argument, there's a counter argument. So it's just interesting. So my thing always, and it's with people as well. I don't talk about people, because the minute I talk about people, I'm moving into a space where the principles that I've installed in my own life to be positive, immediately that falls away if I talk about someone. So the problem is that a lot of people talk about someone, like, oh, did you check now what he's doing now? Did you check now what he's doing now? The minute you do that, you take away, you're wasting time. And you literally are wasting time. You are. I'm not saying you're never going to talk about someone, but whenever I get into, or whenever I feel that somebody is going into an argument with me, or wants to start a conversation about feminism or patriarchal society, whatever, I immediately remove myself, because I'd rather talk about the different Dragon Ball Z Tazos that I have, and rather talk about, listen, what do you think about Mitchell Johnson's swing or A.B. de Villiers' style? I'd rather talk about something like that than to talk about feminism. Now, I don't have a problem with people talking about it. It's just not my expertise. I don't have an opinion on that, and and frankly, I don't know anything about feminism. I know what feminism is, but I just don't feel like talking about it.
But don't you think that as a public figure, as soon as you become a public figure, you have a certain amount of influence on people's opinions? Don't you think that at some point it almost becomes your responsibility to say, I am going to educate myself about these topics. I am going to form a really well thought out and in-depth opinion on something like feminism, because I know that I can make a real difference in this very, very important topic.
First and foremost, I'm an actor and I tell stories. And second, I'm a singer. And now I've written a book about opinions and about marijuana and about pornography and about the concept of being in a house where there's stepsister, stepbrothers, and a stepdad. I've written about concepts like that. And I totally agree with you. Being in a space where educating yourself, definitely, I totally agree with you. For me, I just get nervous when people ask me about feminism, because, like I said, I don't know a lot about it, and I don't want to get into a corner where I'm like, sucks, I don't know the principles or whatever, or transgender movements, or flipping, netball rules or whatever. I'm scared I'm going to say the wrong thing. So I definitely agree with you that there is definitely a space for me to go and say, listen, this is what I feel about it. And it's with religion as well for me. I mean, I believe I'm a Christian, but I'm a Christian in the streams that I land in. I mean, I don't stand on corners, or I'm not in a church. I'm not a pastor. For me, fundamentally, I'm an actor first. That's what I studied. And I apply the fundamentals of acting in my daily job, and also with singing. I write songs and I sing. That's first and foremost what I am. I'm not a public speaker as of yet. I'm not a politician. I'm not a socialist as of yet. I'm not a pastor. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting space to be, or it's an interesting place to be at right up until now, where we are as younger people. I mean, I'm turning 35, so I think I'm right in the middle of still being kind of young and, moving towards the 40s kind of thing. And I think, and that's why I agree with you. I think there's a certain responsibility that you do have. But first you have to, I think first I've got to research a bit more. I've got to train myself. I've got to educate myself a bit more in certain stuff.
So do you think it's like, do you think that sometimes it's a little bit silly that people look to people who are actors by profession for really groundbreaking opinions about science or about vaccines or about racism or
whatever. It's like people thinking actors could be an MC. It's not the case. Not all actors are MCs. Yes, you're on television. I know a lot of actors that are so shy and that are so in their boxies that they won't be able to stand on a stage and be an MC for the evening. I mean, I did a couple of MC gigs and it's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It's
I did, obviously not to the scale that you're talking about. I remember I was in charge of MCing the matric farewell for the people a year older than us in high school. And I'll never forget this for as long as I live. So what they told me beforehand was, okay, listen, they're going to come in with their fancy cars or their horse carriages or whatever. And you should first, you should make a comment about how they're arriving. So you should say, oh, it's such a nice car, or whatever.
Ladies and gentlemen, look at the hair on that horse.
Exactly.
He's beautiful.
They come in and then you're supposed to say something about how they look and you're supposed to introduce them and move on to the next one. So I thought, okay, fantastic, I can do that. Easy peasy. I'm not afraid to speak in public. That's fine. And in comes this car, and I think, I don't want to get it wrong again. I think it was like a Porsche or something. Yeah. And this car comes in and around the corner, and it's dark, man. It's like 7 p.m. The car comes in, I see this car, and in front of like hundreds of people, I go, oh, and this lovely Ferrari coming in, beautiful red Ferrari, and it comes, as I say that, it comes into the light, and it's not a Ferrari, it's a Porsche. The amount of shit I got from my classmates over getting that wrong for weeks. I mean, teachers would joke about it. They'd make like stupid jokes like, JC, will you just grab that book, but don't accidentally, grab that book. Don't grab the other book accidentally and call it. And it's like, I just got shit for it for weeks. Yeah,
but that's exactly the thing. I mean, and for me, that's the biggest thing. Not all actors are MCs. Not all. I think someone in the public eye, they are. For me today, I go to work and I go home. That's my thing. And I go on with my life. There's no drama, arts in my house. I mean, my fiance, she's a teacher. So, she deals with a lot of emotions. Deals with a lot, she's a teacher for grade RRR. So that's the 3-year-olds. And she deals with a lot of parents. So for me, I call that the real world. Now we can go on about what is real and what is normal, but that's pretty much real. I mean, a 3-year-old doesn't know a lot. So you got to teach them the right, you got to give them the right tools. I mean, she does an exercise where she has a lemon and then something sweet. So, and then she takes videos for the parents, them eating the lemon and pulling their faces, and then something sweet where their faces are, oh wow, they're so lekker. So those fundamentals. So she's very straightforward. Black or white, no gray area. For me, there's always
there's no gray for a 3-year-old.
There's no.
The older you get, the more you realize that everything is gray and nothing's completely right. And nothing's completely wrong. But as a child, it's very easy to tell the difference.
Exactly. And she's a non-nonsense girl, and that's what I appreciate about her. So, I mean, and that's the thing, I was given a work to act, not to be in parliament.
But I think that nowadays, being an actor, being a singer, being anyone who's massively popular in any way, it carries with it this immensely powerful influence.
Yes.
Because people look at you. So you've got however many thousand followers on Instagram. Someone looks at you. They've been looking at your photos, looking at your life. They've seen you on TV. They've seen you do this event or whatever. And they think to themselves, yeah, that is just the life. I want to live like a Reynardt. I want to do what he does. Because, like, especially someone who's not that happy with their own life is very susceptible to thinking, yes, if I could just, imagine I was acting on that show. I would be so good. Or thinking, yeah, imagine I could sing with a band, or I could release a single. Imagine I could write a book and people would like care and read my book or whatever.
Yeah.
So now when Reynardt comes out and says, I'm pro gay rights. Like, I'm pro gay rights. That's something I believe in. I'm pro gay rights. This person is going to think, okay, well, I really like everything else about Reynardt.
Yes.
I think this opinion is something that I could go with. I'm going to go with that opinion.
I can latch on with
right.
that, yeah.
So
follow that.
So if you were to have like a bad opinion, and let's say you were racist, and you were anti-immigration is a big one right now, okay?
Yeah.
So a lot of people in Europe, there's a lot of immigrants coming in from war-torn countries who are Arabic, who are Muslim. It's a completely different culture, and these people are arriving in European countries by the thousands. So a lot of people have a lot of different opinions. If someone, let's say you were very famous in the UK, and someone in the UK looked at you and saw in an interview you saying, yeah, you know what, I'm actually very anti-immigration.
Yes.
I don't think we should allow any immigrants into this country. They're going to ruin our culture.
Yes.
That person is a lot more susceptible to then say, I like everything that Reynardt does. He seems like a really good guy.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yes.
That sounds like a good opinion. I'm going to do that.
And I agree with I agree with you, definitely. For me, I've got a big responsibility towards young people and also primary, high school, and students. I've got a responsibility, and I know that because that's more or less my fan base. And
it comes with the territory.
It
comes
does.
with being an actor.
And exactly, and that basically answers the question. So yes, I think there is scope for me to going on my journey and this adventure to stand for something publicly, definitely. But as of yet, I'm still growing as a person. I'm still reading, and I'm still listening to podcasts, and I'm still having conversations with people, and I'm still trying to figure this out for myself. So maybe when I'm, maybe in a year's time where we are from now, I'm like, okay, cool, I stand for this or I stand for that. But I know now with this book, I've got a responsibility towards younger people and parents that has gone through divorce, that's struggling with the concept of mom marrying another guy, and you've got to now deal, and you throw in a household with extra people that you've got to make this work now. Like I said, with also, I mean, I'll with met die grootste liefde I'll talk about marijuana. Met die grootste liefde I'll talk about pornography, because that's stuff that I've been through. So, I've got this thing in Afrikaans that I say, ek kan nie noodwendig met gesag praat nie, maar ek kan saam praat. So, in English it's like, I can't necessarily talk with a lot of girth. Is it girth? Wait, what is girth?
Girth? Okay, ladies and gentlemen.
What is girth?
Reynardt Hugo does not have girth. Just put that on your headlines. I think you mean like substance.
Substance. Yeah. So, where was I now?
So you were saying how, sometimes you can't speak with a lot of substance.
Yes, okay. So ek kan nie noodwendig met baie gesag praat nie, maar ek kan saam praat. So with marijuana, I can talk about my experience with marijuana. I can talk about my experience with pornography. I can talk about experience with alcohol. Okay? That's just my experience. It's not an opinion. It's just an experience.
Okay, so let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about this topic. So obviously addiction and substance abuse is something that you've sort of had a lot of experience with. So tell me that story. How did that come about?
So I mean, you know what? There's a couple of things that on my journey was a little bit challenging for me. Coming out of a household, my mom and my dad and my stepmom, they were in the army. My dad was a lieutenant colonel. Both my dad and my mom. My dad was in the recce's, and I grew up in a household where I was exposed to the military way of doing things, but not like you've got to go to bed at 8, you've got to go. So, long story short, my mom and my dad got divorced. My dad drank a lot and my mom didn't drink at all. She wanted to protect us from that. But that being said, I grew up pretty much. There was a couple of how can I say this? There was stuff missing, as you grow up. I mean, and later I started running away from stuff. Getting into alcohol. The alcohol was a big thing for me, and I was at a point where I was totally addicted to alcohol.
Was this while you were already working on
Binnenlanders? Yeah, and that's also in the book. And I was smoking weed. After I had 3 relapses, and and that's not a lot of things people know. After the alcohol, I started smoking marijuana, and from 1 joint a day to almost to 5 to 7 joints a day, and strong stuff. And what it psychologically did to me was a bit scary. And where I am today, I'm bipolar and I drink medication every day. And that's why I say it's a challenge for me not a challenge for me, but I'm still implementing stuff in my life to grow as a person, whether it's, standing for something like that, reading a lot, listening to a lot of stuff. You get formed by the stuff that you read, the stuff that you listen to, the stuff you look at, the people that you surround yourself with. Those are very, very vital. Those are very important things for you to go forward. And that's something that I've learned through the years. I mean, literally, if you watch, I don't know what you watch, but for me, I'm not very, I don't like a lot of violent stuff, where I love, acting and getting into situations in a scene, but I can't watch stuff with a lot of swearing in or action movies. Then I can't sleep at night, and it's difficult for me. So I know which source to go to for me to operate, in a higher state, and it's still difficult, and that's going through the suffering, not drinking or not smoking marijuana or not. Partying is suffering. You suffer for something. You suffer for something good. I mean, if you have to wake up at 5 o'clock every morning to go to the gym, it's not lekker. You want to snooze. You want to flip and listen to the rain, and you want to flip and cuddle, kind of thing. But it's difficult to wake up at 5 a.m. and to go to. Eventually, it will get easier, but it's tough. You suffer, but the end goal is great. And for me, I mean, I'm it's a long story short now. And that's what's specifically in the book. I talk about stuff like that and what I went through going there. Now, did I lose friends? Yes. Do you become, do people invite you? No, they don't invite you anymore. Do I witness people that's starting to lose the plot? Yes, I do, especially in the industry. Do I experience people that's false? Yeah, a lot. I don't surround myself with people like that. Like I said, I go to work and I go home. It's not the popular opinion, but I've went through it. I've seen the country. I've seen a lot of towns. I mean, the only province that I didn't really travel in was the Eastern Cape. I mean, I've been and sometimes I would sit on my couch and think, damn it, man. Yes, yeah, I've been to a lot of towns. I've seen a lot of places. I've met a lot of people. But now, where we sit here in the loft, it's experiences. But for me now, how can I be more successful with the next thing that I start? Maybe the second book, or maybe learn to edit better, or maybe to write better, or maybe start a company here, or whatever the case may be. How can I better myself, and what can I put in place for me to get there? That excites me, because alcohol keeps you back, and marijuana for me keeps you back. I mean, there was a girl when I just got diagnosed with bipolar disorder, the psychiatrist told me, we spoke a lot about marijuana, and there's a lot of information that's not right out there. And that's actually one thing that I really want to do one day is, to maybe make a documentary out of marijuana, to really get to the root of it. But anyway, she said to me, listen, they have a patient that they admitted at Denmark. She went to a party. She's 16 years old. She had a trachea of one. She had one. What's it? Pull.
Yeah. I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah. She had one pull of the joint, and she went into a psychotic state. And they still can't get her out of it. So now you can be susceptible to something like that. It's just that they picture this great thing about marijuana, and obviously people watching this is an unpopular, opinion. But marijuana is not good for you. Most of the people that's in Groendakkies in Pretoria are there because of marijuana. My one friend, his girlfriend, soon to be fiancée, she's a doctor, and she said to me, listen, they get patients here, a lot of patients, that comes in that the anxiety, they just can't deal with it. It's because of marijuana. Now, I was that guy that would smoke marijuana, and you would sit across me, and I would show to you, listen, JC, dude, you've got to flip and check this YouTube video. Like, dude, how can you not argue that it's not this and that? So it's an argument that I'm making, but there's also a counter argument.
Okay, so as someone who has a lot of experience, and now you've said you might want to do a documentary about this one day. What is the misconception around marijuana for you?
Well, just out of the experience that I've been through, yes, I think the anxiety part of it, you'll get to a point where you smoke marijuana, but it's not strong enough anymore. Because for me, it didn't get, I had to go to stronger grass to feel the high. And that to me was scary, because I was scared. Because I had the thing with alcohol and women and pornography, I was scared that I would go down that rabbit hole and start using other stuff. So some would call it a gateway drug. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe not. But I wasn't feeling that high anymore. So I wanted to get some stronger stuff. And then I started using the oils, and the oils would flip and trip me up. And then I would start eating the hashish. And then that would flip and gooi me on another level. I mean, I would see a bloody dragon flying and spitting fire, seeing colorful flowers dancing around him. That wasn't strong enough. And I realized, listen, dude, cool, I can go on with this now. Or maybe I could try something, maybe crush an Urbanol or something, something like that. So I don't know all the misconceptions that are out there, but I just know the psychological effect of getting anxiety, and it can put you in psychosis. I think that's the misconception. I think a lot of people hasn't spoken to, or I don't think a lot of documentaries about marijuana has covered what psychiatrists say about that. What is their opinion? And what has clients of them told them about marijuana? That's going to be interesting, to kind of paint that picture for somebody maybe that's struggling with that.
Yeah, I told you before we started the podcast that I've been watching Suits.
Oh, yeah.
I've been getting into Suits. And there's one part in the first season still where someone says, I can't remember what his name was. Trevor. Trevor's the roommate. And he says to Mike, so Mike finally gets his job as a lawyer. And Trevor says to him, I told you, man. I always told you. If you just stopped smoking weed, you could do it. And that's a thing that I've seen on TV often, where people will, I don't know if it's true or not having any experience with it, but people will give this, will create this idea that marijuana removes motivation. Like if you smoke a lot of weed, you become very content with where you are, and thus you lose a lot of your motivation and ambition to move yourself forward and to drive forward. Is that something that you experienced?
I think so, yeah. I mean, why do you want to smoke it? Why don't you want to be sober? Why do you want to smoke it?
Well, I'm sure a lot of people would have a lot of answers.
They would. Yeah. But
why did you smoke it when you did?
Yeah, it was lekker. Yeah. No, it was lekker. Today I'm just like, yes, man. Why do you want to smoke it? No, you're right. It was lekker.
It was a good time.
It was a good time. No, it was definitely a good time. It is lekker. It's also drinking alcohol and getting onto a vibe or clapping an urbanal or something like it's a lekker vibe. JC, you know what? At the end of the day, you gotta choose your poison, and you gotta carry the consequences.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
I get you.
So whether you eat toilet paper and that makes you feel good, and you get constipated for 10 days, you've got to go to your friends and ask them for it.
Yeah,
to freak. You got to choose your poison, man.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot of people, because people refer to it as an outlet, right? So you got to have this thing that you go back to and you really enjoy. A lot of people have really, really good outlets that are extremely healthy. And things like exercise is a big one.
Yeah.
That I would love to have. Exercise is a really good habit.
Yeah.
Trying to get into it. But it's, people will, where someone says, yes, I've had a really rough day, I need to have a cigarette. I've had a rough day, I just got to have a couple of drinks. Some people have taken that same energy and directed it towards something like exercise. Like my brother.
Is he clapping a vibe?
He's like, I got to tell you, I hope he doesn't listen to this and get a big head now. But in the past 2 years or so, maybe a little bit less, year and a half, my little younger brother, who's now 18, he's massive. He's like, we used to gym together. Yeah. Like, we used to gym together in high school, and we were just doing like stupid, burpees and stuff.
Yeah.
Nowadays, my brother's benching like 120 kilograms. He's like, he's massive.
Well done, dude.
No, he's like, he's a giant. Hey?
Wow.
He's like, he's my little brother, he'll like push me around, and he's not violent, but he, like, when we're just, as brothers he'll like shove me and I'll go across the room. Yeah. Like, he's massive.
But I get it, like this.
He gets respect now. Like, at the pool last week, we went to the coast, and at the pool there's this guy, and he's just massive. He looks like a gorilla. He's like there's a character on Umbrella Academy called Luther, who's like, and Luther's now undergone this surgery to save his life, but it resulted in him just being absolutely enormous and muscular and looks like a gorilla. This guy looked like that guy. And I see this guy, and to me, he's just a complete freak. Like, he's like, not in a bad way. He's so far, I will never look like that. Like, I will never. And I talked to my brother. I'm like, shit, man, did you see that guy?
Yeah.
And my brother, who went to the gym while we were at the coast, by the way, he says, yeah, we chatted in the gym this morning. We trained together a little bit. And suddenly I realized my brother is now on this guy's level.
Sure.
But I haven't realized it because he's my brother. I see him like so often.
Sure, that is crazy.
I just realized that my brother has turned, he used to like, I don't know what his outlet was before, really.
Yeah.
Because he was still a kid. He's just out of high school now. But he has, at the end of the day, when my brother comes home, he's like, I've had a rough day. He goes to the gym.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. He goes for an hour or two, and he comes back and he feels good and he feels better.
Yes.
And over time, that's compounded into my brother. Now, he says he likes it when we say he's built like a fridge. That's what he says. Yeah. Now my brother's built like a fridge. Yeah. And that's the result of him using this outlet. So if you flip the switch back to what we were talking about, if you were to use marijuana as your outlet every day, or alcohol as your outlet every day, it's that compound interest. It's that little bit that every day you're moving in a direction.
Yes.
So my brother, a year and a half ago, weighed like 15 kilos less, looked very different. He had his outlet. He's now picked the path, and it didn't take a day, it didn't take a week or a month, but now, a year and a half or so later, I'm looking at him thinking, I would not even recognize him if I saw him like this last year.
But see, now we're talking about
this. It's the same thing with alcohol. You would become unrecognizable after a while.
So my thing is just go back to the data. What they always say, listen, you can erase your mistakes very quicker, or much quicker when you just look at the data and eliminate those stuff very quickly. So, this guy that I also train with, he's I was also started training recently, you know, but and our first session, I was, you know, doing this exercise or whatever, and I felt the rush going to my head and this blood, and I was like, I can understand why this can become an addiction. Well, not an addiction, but I can understand why this is lacquer.
But it is an addiction. Because you don't necessarily have to get addicted to a substance like with weed. Weed's a big one.
And it was just the vibe. You just like the vibe.
With marijuana, you can't, as far as I'm aware, you can't technically, your body can never form an addiction to marijuana. However, what it can form an addiction to is the dopamine that you get from marijuana.
For sure.
So it's like, you're still forming an addiction, it's just a secondary addiction. So now with training, it's the same. Like, people who train, you would never think of gym as an addiction, but it is, and it's a good addiction. It's very healthy, and you're addicted to the feeling that you get when you've just had a great session.
So then you weigh up these two, the marijuana and the exercise, and you're like, okay, pick a path. You know, eating toilet paper, if that makes you feel great, eat your toilet paper, but you've got to.
You got to deal with whatever the consequences are.
The consequences
why not pick an outlet that's going to have good consequences?
That's the thing, you know. So yet again, look at the data. If you look at, I mean, everyone writes in self-help books, exercise are one of the fundamentals of becoming successful. You know, I mean, I think you've read it also. You've read it a lot. Drinks lots of water, eat fruit, or
good sleep.
Good sleep. I mean, they talk about it. Exercise. Nobody talks about marijuana in self-help books.
No.
Nobody talks about using alcohol. Nobody talks about you don't read it. It's not me that wrote the book. It's all the books that I've written.
Yes.
Think and Grow Rich, the 5 a.m. Club, the Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, you know, from good to great. There's a lot of books that tells you that, but
you got to read. Are you into that sort of thing?
Yeah.
You got to read Outliers.
Outliers. Okay.
Do you have it?
No.
I'll give it to you if I see you again.
Okay.
Outliers is all about how, it's all about this. It's all about what we're talking about. It's about how small advantages at the start compound and eventually take you down a completely different path in life.
Yes.
So I'll give you an example.
Okay. Yeah, that's a belief.
So in the book, they talk about ice hockey players, the best ice hockey players in the world. And what they noticed was almost all of the ice hockey players who play at national level were born within like a 3-month period in the year. So, for example, not obviously not in the same year, but they were all born in September, October, November, for example. Okay? That's a bit weird. Like, clearly there's a reason, clearly there's something going on, but it's not immediately obvious. So this author, Malcolm Gladwell, he goes into it and he tries to understand. And what he saw was so interesting. Okay. So in Canada, if you are born, let's say because their school year starts in September, I think. So let's say, I don't know the exact month, but let's say it's March, right? If you are born before March, you fall into this year, so you're in grade 1. Mm-hmm. If you were born after March, you have to like wait till the next year. Okay? So what he realized was that all these people were born at the perfect time that they were some of the oldest people in their grade. Okay? So they were born right before the cutoff. So that means that, you know how usually if you're in a class, you've got some people who were born in Jan, you've got some people who were born in September, and they differ by like 8 months.
And then your mom put you...
Exactly.
Yes,
So all of these people who are remarkably successful at ice hockey were born perfectly in the window for them to be the oldest people in their grade. Okay? So what that means is that at an early age, when you're the oldest, you're the biggest, because kids grow fast. So you're the biggest. Okay? So now I weigh 5 or 10 kilos more than anyone else in my class, which means that I've got more strength and I'm faster. So when I play ice hockey as a grade 2, I'm going to be the best ice hockey player in the class. Okay?
Sure.
So now a coach or your parents see, holy shit, my son's really good at ice hockey.
Yes.
I should have him play ice hockey some more. Or I should pay for him to coach, get better coaches. Or maybe I should have him sign up for a club. Okay? So now, at the very start in grade 1, when you play ice hockey for the first time, let's say you're 1% better than everyone around you, just because you have a couple months of age on them. Okay, you're just a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. You can take a little bit more of a punch. But now, you get a better coach, because people think, hey, he's a little bit better than everyone else. I should put him on the first team, or I should sign him for the club. Okay? So now this person is still here, but now you've got that tiny advantage of age, plus you've got a better coach. Okay? Plus you play in a club. Plus you play more games because you're never on the bench. Plus. 20 years later, you are a national ice hockey playing champion, and someone who realistically could have been just as good as you if he'd done all the things that you did. He's not. Okay? So why is that? Because of these tiny incremental benefits that you got, because at the start, you changed your course just by 1 degree. It's like if you were to sail around the world and you were off course by half a degree, you'd end up thousands of kilometers away at the end of the trip than someone who was on the right course the whole time. So now it's the same thing. We apply this back to what we were talking about. If I say, okay, cool, you've got 2 people. They're identical in every way, but one of them is going to go jogging for 20 minutes every morning. Okay? You'd think, okay, cool. A year later, what you're going to see are the benefits of that jogging. But it's so much more than that, because now I'm jogging, which means I'm also drinking more water, which means that I'm also feeling really good about myself. So I'd probably be a little bit more confident in my everyday interactions. Now that leads to maybe getting a little bit of a pay raise at work, which means you can afford a nicer place, which means you feel even better. Now you're thinking, yes, I run every morning. I'm getting really good at this. What a waste would it be if I just ate junk food all the time? I should probably eat healthy. And now at the end of the year, the benefit that you've received from jogging for 20 minutes in the morning is not just jogging in the minute, being a little bit fitter. It's all of these other things that have come together because of that one small good habit every day.
Yes.
So the same is true for bad habits.
Yes.
Because now it's like you said with marijuana.
Yes.
Okay? The marijuana in itself might be a tiny thing that's not really affecting you that much. Maybe it's just a little bit. Maybe, for example, everything in your life goes great when you smoke weed, but your mom doesn't like it. And that's the only thing that's bad at the start. That's the only thing. But now you got to remember there's many things that come with that, because now your relationship with your mom isn't that good. Maybe you feel a little bit ashamed, which means you're going to be a little bit more introverted than you would have been otherwise. And over time, that compounds. One day you can't get from your usual guy who gives you weed, so now you have to go, yeah, it's a little bit more dodgy, but it's okay because I know what I'm doing. So now you're exposing yourself to something a little bit more. And over time, it compounds. It's like they always say, the wealthiest people in the world say, what's that quote that's so fantastic? It says something about how compound interest is the greatest gift in life.
Yes.
Something like that. Like compound interest is the best. It's better than anything else in the world,
Yeah.
So it's compound interest applies to us as well.
For sure.
The habits we choose to make. Because every day, 1% adds up to, being a completely different person 3 months from now.
For sure.
So yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting with the marijuana smoking, because I remember when I did it, in the beginning it was all fun and games and it was cool, but I didn't see my parents a lot. Like you spoke about the example of your mom having a relationship with her. And I became demotivated.
Yeah.
I ate more. I mean, like my bill for food a month, because you're high and you get munchies, was, and that's the thing. And I could feel it in my body and I could see it on my face. I mean, if you look at a picture of me now today and you look at me a picture like 6 years or 5 years ago, 6 years ago, then you're going to check it out and you're like, okay, well, yeah, you can see a difference. And also smoking it, I mean,
the lungs a little bit, you don't feel good. I remember a mate of mine from school, he used to do long distance running a lot. And he used to complain when he was smoking, he didn't smoke much weed, but he was vaping a lot.
Yeah.
I know vaping and smoking weed are not on the same level, but he would always say that he cannot vape within like 3 or 4 weeks before a long distance because he feels it. He feels it in his lungs.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the kind of questions, and that's how you unlock what something is really doing to
So
you.
if self-help books wants to unlock your full potential, then you've got to eliminate the stuff that is bad for you.
Yeah.
So we can go on, we can make a long list of what is bad for you. For me, I just know this is the list, and I know I need to not do that because I know where I am now. And where I am now is a great position to be in because I've seen successes. I wouldn't have written this book if I was high last year. It wouldn't have happened. It would not have happened. I know that. And also, I wouldn't have put in my 100% full potential in it. Because you're sitting and you're like, okay, yeah, no, dude, I'll flip and write when I'll get inspirations somewhere else. My inspiration, there wasn't really inspiration. There was like bum on seat, dude, you need to write this because you've got a deadline for first, second, third draft. So I just, drink more ginseng and eliminate the stuff that's bad, Surround myself with really great people. I mean, there's a guy that I saw last week. His name is Daniel Strauss. He's the husband of Rolene Strauss.
Oh, yes?
Yes. And he's also written a book, and I saw him at the studios because he did an interview on Bezos on KykNet. And I met him on an aeroplane. I met him at the airport, and because I knew Rolene's designer that designed her clothes, and I said, hey man, hoe gaan het lekker? And I didn't see who's next to him, and it was Rolene and Daniel. And I said, how's it? Ek's Reynardt, and he was like, I'm Daniel. And Daniel said, no, ek weet wie jy is because your niggie, your niece, I know, because, and we grew up together in Keimus, in Uppington, close to Uppington. And we started talking, and yes, man, we heard it from the beginning. Jy weet, ons het van die begin af oor die weg gekom, and he said to me, listen, can I sit next to you on the aeroplane? And I was like, okay, yes, that's quite, you're going to leave Rolene back there? And he's like, yeah, man, no, I said, persoon, I'll sit. And he spoke to me on the aeroplane, and we spoke, and he said to me, okay, cool, the next time that I see you, jy moet 3 boeke gelees het. The Man Who Sold His Ferrari, The Alchemist, and From Good to Great. Okay? So the next time. The next day, we flew back to Joburg. I went to Exclusive. I bought the 3 books. A year later, I was visiting my dad in Cape Town, and I said to Daniel, hoorie, ek is in die Kaap. Can I see you? He's like, yeah, I have golf here, and meet me at Valdevie at the golf estate. I was like, yes, okay, yeah, this is Valdevie.
This is fancy.
Yeah, rich and famous, whatever. So I climb in my dad's plain Toyota Etios, and we drive. And I drive, and I get to the clubhouse, and I was walking in with him, and he was like, and everyone was like greeting him, "Hey Daniel, gaan het? Lekker, hi." And I could feel the presence that he's bringing in. The people knows who he is. Sat with him, spoke for about 3 hours about life, about work. He said to me, did you read the books? I said, ja, ek het die boeke gelees. And then we started talking about the books. And it was so wonderful to, and he said to me, like, I'm willing to be your mentor, but I don't like to be in the forefront. And I asked a mate last week, I said to him, what is the role of a mentor? Should you be friends or not? He said, no, a mentor, you're not going to be friends with your mentor. A mentor is a mentor. He's going to give you advice on certain stuff, but then he disappears. And when you need him, when you want advice, you're going to SMS him or you're going to WhatsApp him, and that's it. So this guy gave me so much advice. I mean, he's a very successful businessman, and he's so rustig, and he's so chilled. And I was just like, I want to spend more time with somebody like that because I want to unlock Reynardt's potential. I want to check out where I can be in the next, come on, say 5 years. I want to figure out. I literally dreamt last night somebody asking me, Reynardt, what's your roadmap going forward? And I was like, oh, damn it. I don't completely know, but I've got a hunch, like, where to go. And that's where I want to be. I want to be on top of wherever on top is in my life.
You want to be the mentor, yeah?
I want to be the mentor.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy that gives advice.
Yeah.
But I can't do that if I don't have the tools that I need to use the tools. I know I have to read. I know I have to watch the right stuff. I know I have to surround myself with the right people. Even hanging out with you. I mean, you told me some stuff today that's like, cool, I'm going to think about this. Even the Malcolm Gladwell thing that you explained to me, I'm going to think about it today, you know?
Yes, I thought about it for weeks after I read that book. It's still on my mind a lot. I talk to a lot of people, and I read books. Like, I read not as regularly as I should, but I read a lot.
Yeah, me neither, no.
And it's you never read enough.
You never read enough.
There's always 5 books that you still need to get
to.
It's
crazy.
I mean, I speak to a lot of people. That book really stuck with me. And it was also talking, one of the people that was in the book and covered was Bill Gates.
Oh, wow.
And it was talking about how, I mean, Bill Gates obviously was the richest man in the world for a long time. And the reason was because he developed software that we still use, I mean, for everything. Microsoft is his company, he developed that software. So now it's going back, talking about how the reason why Bill Gates was so successful, and it goes back to his childhood, back when nobody knew what coding was. Like, coding was not a thing back then. No one knew what it was because no one had a personal computer at home. However, there was one in a library near where Bill Gates lived. And there were only like a handful of libraries across the US then that had computers. But the problem was they were really expensive and you had to pay for them. But the one that Bill Gates went to, the machine was broken, which means he could pay for 1 hour and just sit there all day and code. And now looking back, you realize, holy shit, like if he had not had that opportunity, if he hadn't got lucky that one time, who knows where he might have been today.
Yeah.
He ended up being the guy who coded the operating system for almost every computer on the planet today, immensely wealthy because of it. All because the computer nearby just happened not to work as it should have. So now what you realize thinking about that is how many opportunities do we come across every day in our life where we think, what a lucky break that was. But in actuality, if we were to really pursue that, we could become, like I said earlier, unrecognizable.
Yes, you know? I like that. Your habits are going to put you on a path where you meet the right people, and I really do believe that, because, I mean, especially in an industry like ours, you know, it's tough sometimes, and because you have to when you want to create stuff, you know, writing a movie or writing a series. I've never done that. That's something that I would love to do, but I don't want to do it if I know that's not the route for me to go. Because I'm going to waste my time with that. And it would be wonderful to write a movie. It'd be wonderful to write a series, but I have to ask myself the right question. Why do I want to do it? Do I want to do it just to show a movie on the screen and say, hey ouens, ek het 'n movie geskryf, of a series, hey, yes, ek het 'n series geskryf, check vir my, you know, wat ook al. That's going to be the wrong reason for me. So I'm at a point in my life where I say, listen, and I think a lot of people are there, is like, cool, what do I need to do next now to achieve something amazing? 2 or 3 stuff that's amazing. Do I want to be financially free? And what is financial freedom for you? What does it mean? Until what age do I want to work if I'm blessed enough to get to that bloody age? Verstaan? What do I want to achieve in terms of family, in terms of having kids one day, you know? It's like, and you explained the compound interest thing now. About a month ago, I invested I think I put in 10 grand into my Luna wallet for Bitcoin. And literally after a day, it grew with $2,000. And I withdrew the $2,000 and I was like,
how easy is that?
Ek het net R2,000 gemaak in 1 dag. R2,000. I was like, okay, what can I've got cash flow. What can I do? So it was the simple principle for me, is like, what did I do there? I took a risk. Cool. I experienced the principle of compound interest. I felt good after withdrawing the money. Okay. And I was like, I learned something about the Luna wallet or Bitcoin maybe. And I was like, cool. And I want this. I really do want this. So what the hell do I need to do now to do this, to have cash flow and to be able to take a risk or taking chances?
Can I tell you something? I just want to jump in quickly and tell you how crazy this is that you mentioned this now. So I told you before when I was setting up the cameras, I was telling you about the investment that I've been doing on the JSE. And I started telling you about Steyn, and then we got off track and we started talking about something else. So Steyn is this thing that I've been checking over time, like how it's going, and investing. I've been making a little bit of money. So I have a business at the university. I basically took all of the money I earned from that business last year and put it into stocks.
Yeah.
And the stock that I chatted to my dad and we thought that this is the stock to be invested in is Steyn. Okay, so I put all the money I earned in that whole year into Steyn, and I've been watching it, and I missed out on an opportunity a couple of weeks ago because I sold my stock and then it shot up, and I felt a little bit shit about that. But I've been making good money. But Steyn will go up on a normal day, like go up 2%, go down 2%, and you watch it. Remember when I came in here, I told you like my watch, my Apple Watch is buzzing because I said to you, the guys are buzzing right now. Do you know why? I woke up this morning, I prepped for this podcast, got everything going. I spoke to my girlfriend, I quickly made something to eat. I got in the car and came here. I haven't checked the stocks at all today. Like I haven't even looked. I stopped at the gate. And the guy told me, I have to type in your unit number into the machine. I type it in, and now it's ringing. And while it's ringing, I just decided to check my messages. I open up. One of the guys on the group says, Steyn up today, 35%.
What?
I'm like, holy shit. So just before I came in here, I checked my phone, quickly logged into my stockbroking app to see what's up, realized that just in the drive, I'd made like $6,000. Just from having the right stock at the right time.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. So that's, I don't know what your method was by starting to look into that. For me, it's, for me, and that's what Hans Strydom, the guy who plays At, he said to me years ago, just don't only do this. All right, do a lot of stuff.
Yes, you got to do as much as you can.
You have to, and it's never too late. You can always catch up. You
definitely. There's a guy who I admire so much, and yes, I'm actually so upset with him because I wanted to schedule. He was the first person. He was supposed to be the first guest on this podcast, and we emailed back and forth. He said yes, that's fine, let's do it. And then he cancelled on me like a day before we were supposed to record. And then I would email him again, like, hey, can we reschedule? He'd never responded.
Right.
I can't now. I'm trying to think of what his name is. He is the host of that show, Vince Lane, on KykNet.
Oh,
yes,
Divan.
Yes.
Yeah, he owns the coffee shop.
Yes, and the coffee shop now.
Yes, yeah.
So the reason why I contacted him as my first guest on the podcast was because I'd been following this guy for a long time.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is that I so admire how he does so many different things.
Yes.
Because he's got the coffee shop, he's got the restaurants, and he hosts the show. These two things are completely different from one another. Completely like opposite ends of the spectrum. He hosts a show about investing in finances, and also he runs a restaurant. And I've always said to my family when I talk to them about this, I say, when you're doing, let's turn it into points, right? Let's say running a business gives me 10 points. And hosting a show also gives me 10 points. I feel like doing those two things at once gives you more than 20 points. The product of two things is greater than the sum. So I feel like instead of saying, I have a business and that gives me a certain amount of good in my life, and I'm giving a show that gives me a certain amount of good in my life, doing both of those things at once, you get even more good. Like, does that make sense? It's like,
absolutely.
Because those two things contribute to each other.
Absolutely.
So you're going to take some of the things you learn from your show and apply them to your restaurant. And and thus the restaurant will be even better than if you only
because they see you on television, they really want to.
So now you've got so right now I'm doing my business at university. I'm doing my degree. I'm also doing a stockbroking course through Gibbs. I'm doing this podcast. I'm doing this aquarium business with Freek and Tony. And a couple of other things. I've got my relationship with my girlfriend, my relationship with my brother and my family. You've got all these balls that you're juggling, and people look at you and they go like, oh, how do you have the time? How are you doing all these things? And what I want to tell them is each one of these balls that I'm juggling makes all the others better and easier.
Mm-hmm.
So you think, oh shit, he's juggling like 8 things at once. He must be completely burnt out and exhausted. And what I'm telling you is, Project A makes Project D easier to do. And Project D gave me an idea in Project B, and that made Project B even better. And thus, these things are helping each other, and it's like you said, you've got to be doing more than just the one thing.
You have to. I really do believe in that, and it's really a great time to do that now. You know, I encourage everyone to figure out what is it that they really want to do. I mean, for me, I've got the book Binnenlanders, singing, writing, Bitcoin, you know, well, a little bit of Bitcoin, but and looking for something else, starting to exercising more, getting more time in the day. How are you going to do that? Waking up at 5, you know, I've got this beautiful product now. Now I've got to market this book. I've got to go out and learn about marketing. I've got to learn, and how do you do this? Hoe gebruik ek Facebook and Instagram? How do I utilize it even more to freaking get this book going, you know? And you learn out of this. I mean, I'm already have the second title of the next one, but that's not remotely going to be autobiography or flipping, you know, heavy stuff that you deal with. It's going to be more inspirational. I want it to be inspirational, very quick and easy. Certain stuff that you do.
So yeah, there's this perfect example, right? So think about it now. You have written a book. You're an author. That's Project A. You've also read a lot of self-help books and inspirational books. That's Project B. These two things have now come together, and you now want to author a self-help book. It's like it's a perfect example of how two things, if you only had one of them, it wouldn't work exactly the same way. So now, if this book comes out, this inspiration self-help book, and it's wildly successful, you can't say, well, it's just because I'm a fantastic author. And you also can't say, well, it's just because I read these self-help books and they inspired me, because it's these two things together that created the new idea. And the sum was, or the product of those two ideas, the produce that came from the two was greater than just those two things on their own.
I love it. And also, and I have to go through some more suffering to apply the principles that I want to put into that self-help book, if you may call it that. Even the exercising and waking up early. I mean, I've been doing that now, and it's tough. It's tough because you want to watch more episodes of The Office in the evening, and you freaking, I'm gonna watch one more episode, and then you already 3 in, you know. But I have to kind of be disciplined. I think you have to be disciplined if you don't know what the next thing is. So for me, I'd rather go through the suffering now of waking up early and trying to really sit here and brainstorm with myself and talking to people or whatever to see what the next thing is. Because I can't tell you what the next thing is, but I know it's got to do with people, and I know it's got to do with learning. But I don't know what it is. Yeah. And that excites me.
That's really exciting.
That is exciting. I don't know, and that's the beauty of it. That is the beauty of it. It's like eating well, or maybe eat less sweets, or flipping, spending more time with your fiance or your flipping girlfriend or your wife or whatever. I mean, the time is, do it now. I don't want to tell you the title of the book that I'm planning, but it's great. I think it's great because it's really just based on the fact that if you haven't done something in your life, just try it. Just try it. Just give it a shot. Even if it's
one of the most incredible stories I've ever heard, and I'll say this now quickly before we finish. Alma, who's that girl I was telling you about? She's the chair, or I don't want to get this wrong now.
Yeah.
She was high up in the Youth United Nations. She was the chairperson there, and she's also a voiceover actress and so on. I did a podcast with her, and I was chatting to her about this exact topic of you got to shoot your shot. And when she was getting into voiceover work, what she did was, if she saw or heard an ad by a company that she really liked, she would go to she also has a setup like this with mics and so on. She would go and record it herself. So she'd go and she'd see it, and she'd record the ad as if she had got the job.
Yes.
She'd record that ad.
Yeah.
Then she would send that ad as a file to as many people as possible. She'd send it to that company. She'd send it to some of their competition. She'd send it to other companies just saying, look here, if you had hired me, this is what that could have sounded like. Hire me for your next thing and let's see what happens, you know? And even if you send out 50 emails and you get one email back,
that's fantastic.
It's one job more than you would have had.
Sure.
And that job leads to another job and another job. And now, Elma's the voice of the cow train, you know? It's like, it's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah,
because
that's fantastic.
It's like you can actually trace back what were the steps. Obviously, you never know where it's going.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, you can say, those were the decisions I made that led me here.
Yeah, and that's what I want to also. That's what I want to leave people with, is that I've been really fortunate enough to be able to do this, and I knew, and back then I knew inside I'm a hard worker, and I'm searching for stuff to do, and where I am now, I always say that I'm in the same position as another actor, because this is just one gig that I have. After this, I need to go and audition. If that is what I want to do, deciding on going forward. But I'm exactly where I was, 12 years ago, 12 or 13 years ago, when I was still studying. And to me, this is going to build character, is the way that I, or whoever is listening or watching to this, is that you build character by implementing the principles, and you can only do it by yourself, but also surround yourself with the right people. I mean, if it wasn't for my fiance, she has a massive role to play in my success, if you may call it that, and she is also going to play a massive success going forward. Maybe working together or talking about stuff. I mean, she's such a valuable person to talk to when it comes to principles in life, because the stuff that she talks about is that you apply that to the next thing that you want to do. And to me, that is exciting. To me, this time is exciting. I had COVID. It was cuck. And I survived it, and it's and you realize it's such a blessing to have your health, and it's such a blessing to have work. But use your time very wisely. Use it, because you only got one shot, man. You got one shot.
You do.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gents, the podcast that started with ginseng extract has now ended here. Yeah. Thank you very much, Reynardt, for doing this. I've had a blast.
Yeah, me too. Thanks a lot. I learned a lot, so thanks a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Lekker.
Ladies and gents, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.